All right, so question. Are you a relatively competent individual, but maybe don't come across as particularly warm or not really receptive to vibe, or maybe not even open when it comes to interacting with other humans? Hello, internet friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay, or LiJo, and today we're going to be speaking on one solid body language tip. If you'd like to talk to me more about this subject, you can book a session with me below on my link to Snug, and let's get started. Are you bypassed on certain opportunities, or maybe you're just misunderstood when it comes to your kind of humor or the way that you interact with others? A lot of times this can be a result of those who prioritize cognitively competence over vibe, and generally that equates to thinking over feeling. Now, everyone can do everything, okay? This isn't exclusive. However, these are where the buckets of groupings tend to fall. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, you know, people just come up to me and they just tell me their problems. They just come up to me to vent. I've never not once had that problem. Generally speaking, my body language isn't particularly open or showing that I'm receptive to the vibe, social exchange interaction. So I'm just not particularly open and warm, especially around people that I don't know. And this is honestly just a reflection of my own social insecurities, and really that's it. And I don't feel comfortable, and therefore I'm exhibiting cues that make me seem just a little bit less comfortable, disinterested. And sometimes I'm not interested, but you know, I'm cueing it rather hard, to say the least. So the thing is where my confidence is where my competence is. And my competence is in figuring things out. So there's a thing that's stuck, you need something to be figured out, you need a solution for something, like, I'll send me in there, okay? Send me in, I'll figure the thing out. I'll help find a solution. I'll help finagle something that works. However, just don't expect me to throw you a surprise party and bring you a cake in the meantime. And everyone has a different level of comfort, and that's absolutely fine. However, what research has shown is that when you're feeling a particular way, the cues that you are exhibiting because of the response to your own state of emotion, your own state of thinking, are reflected to others. And they may not necessarily cognitively understand what is going on, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, but they're picking up on these subtle cues that are an inherent part of our nature. So what that means is sometimes when you're feeling socially awkward, you're exhibiting cues that make other people realize that this is an uncomfortable situation, and that can also make them feel uncomfortable. And the thing is we're not just talking about small talk and your sister's barbecue sort of situations. We're talking about job interviews. We're talking about dating. We're talking about public speaking. And, you know, maybe even starting a YouTube channel. Maybe if you're starting a YouTube channel, you want to be a little more conscious of your cues. Maybe if you're going out on a first date, you want to be a little bit more conscious of the cues you're giving the other person. What's one thing you can do with your body language, or just one thing to cue into with your cues this week or this month for the sake of science, okay? And that is showing your palms. Having your palms be visible, whether you're talking, whether you're sitting, whether you're hanging out. Is your palm facing up, or is your palm facing down? Now, trust me, this is more than just palm reading. This isn't simply, a pseudoscience. There is a lot of history, a lot of information that goes into why humans find the palm to be a sign of openness. And in some of the most general ways I can break this down is, when you're saying hello to someone, right? What are you going to do? You're going to wave. If you are meeting someone for the first time, what are you doing? You're shaking their hand. Culturally, and even further than just the culture, the history of how the palm is shown is showing that in its very nature, it is not concealing something. So if I can see you, if I can see your hands, I'm not thinking about this consciously, but my subconscious knows, okay, they're not concealing anything. They're not hiding something from me, whether that be something that is abstract, something that's not necessarily real, or whether it's a tiny little razor blade underneath their coat. And that information is very much connected to our conscious brain. And you can even take it one step further. If you're actually going out of your way to help someone, if you're going to reach to someone, what are you reaching with? You're reaching with your hand, you're reaching with your palm. The sign of help That is also the next level of openness, is the willingness to go out of your way for another person. So if you don't know Vanessa Van Edwards, she is a great writer, has a YouTube channel, and also wrote the book Cues. In her book, Vanessa quotes researcher Susan Fiske saying, "Competence without warmth is likely to leave us feeling suspicious." And the palm flash, seeing of the hand, is something that communicates to the brain warmth, is something that communicates to the brain openness. So if you are not being conscious of this cue at all, well, you might be getting along just fine along in your competence. However, it might make your life a little bit easier and really change you not having to actually do all that much at all. Just throw in a small cue. Okay, so let's for a second now show a little bit of a contrast. So if you're thinking about a person who is not open, who is not warm, what does their body language look like? Someone who is not being helpful. Well, generally, they're closed in. Their palms are facing their body. They're creating a blocker between themselves and you as the other person, showing that closed off nature. Now, it could just be that they're anxious, they're uncomfortable in the situation, they're getting frustrated with something someone said, but whatever it is, the cue that's being sent across is saying, I'm not open, I'm not warm in this particular dynamic. And if you are just feeling a little bit awkward and uncomfortable, well, the other humans, they don't know that. They just know that you may or may not be concealing something, that you may or may not be trying to keep something away from them, which is leaving them feeling suspicious. And so I actually learned about this part of body language, about the palm, several years ago. And if you remember back in the day when I started my YouTube channel, well, I didn't have a lot of space, okay? I was filming in very close quarters, right with my closet doors behind me, my camera stuck somewhere, and then a light in my dresser drawer, and I didn't have a lot of space, so I was very close to the camera. And as a result of that, my picture was a lot more like this in terms of closeness, and you couldn't see really anything past my shoulders. And if you guys have been around this channel for a while, you know that I certainly use my hands quite a bit when I'm speaking, and that it hasn't been different this whole time. The thing is when your camera is very close to you, well, you can't see any of the other stuff that's happening as I'm painting a picture with my words, as I'm talking with my hands. And listen, the early stages of YouTube are hard for everyone. I, in particular, felt extremely awkward. You guys have heard my stories before, but then I came across this research on the palm of the hand and body language. And I was like, you know what? I have no idea really how I'm coming across to people, but this is what the science says about the hand. So let me just give it a shot and just see what happens. And so what I did is I moved my camera back, got it back as far as it could go, almost onto my bed, and I moved the light back to another dresser, and I inched up a little bit away from my background and a little bit of more distance from the camera. And as a result, well, in my videos at that point forward, you were able to see my hands when I was speaking. And that, strangely enough, was a turning point in my channel, in which I started to get traction, and the feedback I was receiving really changed in its nature. Some of the comments that I would get and, perceive as criticism, they were changing in a different direction. They were becoming more constructive and more inclusive to the direction that I was trying to take my channel. And the ones that were praised, well, they started to become more warm, more authentic. And I started to feel a greater level of connection between myself and the people who were watching the videos. Now, could it be that I was getting more comfortable on camera? Well, yes, that absolutely happens. However, this rate of change happened so quickly that I knew from that point forward that if I was going to be filming a video, that I had to have an aspect ratio that really allowed my hands and my frame to be seen at some capacity. All right, so what's the moral of the story here, folks? If you are a person that prides yourself in competence, that's your area of strength, but your area of warmth sometimes falls short, well, this is your opportunity to get both to come together at a higher level and change the perception of others around you. And the best part is you don't have to do that much. I mean, we're talking about being aware of the placement of your palm, not having your palms always turned in towards your body. And it's not really you're not having to do anything. You're not having to change the person that you are, not having to change the things that you're saying. All you're doing is being a little bit more conscious of the cues that you're giving to other people. And if you're in a situation where you, in fact, do want to be open with another person, well, This is your opportunity to give a cue that's saying that, hey, you are in fact open without doing or saying anything all that different. Now, on the other side, if you don't want to give the cue that you're open, if you're someone on the other side of the spectrum that you come across as too warm, too open, well, do you know what? Turn those palms down towards the ground and don't let them see the light of day. These are the contrasts. These are the different dynamics that we can see within how our bodies are perceived and what that channels in the brain, how people perceive it. And I hope this video was helpful to you. It's definitely been helpful for me to understand these things. I'm diving deeper into body language and the perceptions of that language in the human mind. So I will see you guys in my next video. Have a good one. And goodbye, internet friends.